Welcome back, everyone. I have been enjoying my streak of podcast guests lately. I love coming on and just talking about sneakers and cultures and just different topics. But today I get to bring someone on who I feel like you've seen everything over the past decade. Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, TP. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
How long do you feel like you've been a part of, let's say, the culture as a whole? Streetwear and sneakers.
If you want to go way back, since I was a kid, but I mean, professionally, since I was like 18, 19, when I started at Karmaloop, and I'm 33 now, turning 34 in November. So yeah, it's been some time.
Yeah, we're of the same age demo. And I remember last time we spoke, you brought up the Karmaloop days. I forgot how much I was living off the...
You were killing it with the rep program.
The rep program, yeah. But that was like, I had the best code in the world, Kid Cudi. And I was running a Kid Cudi website. That's just like, hey, everyone, come get your Karmaloop discounts.
Cheat codes, man. You're out here hustling early.
Oh, I had to. That was, man, early social media. That was, I feel like that was Twitter at its finest, in my opinion, like 2008, 2011.
And the forums, that's where everyone was. I mean, this is pre-Slack, pre-Discord, Instagram, just kind of taking its stride. And, that was like when Twitter was the shiny new thing and everyone was flocking to it. And and then that everyone was just on forums. It was crazy.
Yeah. And you say forums, and the first thing that comes to mind to me right now is Kanye Tuda. Did you ever spend any time on Kanye Tuda?
Yeah, absolutely. I lurked. I never had an account on there. Like, I definitely was someone that was just kind of peripheral. Like, I was more involved on the Hypebeast forums. I was super active on there. But the forum culture was crazy. I mean, just seeing how people came together back in the day. I mean, even on the Hypebeast forums, like, it's funny, like Phil from Madberry Club, the founder of that, like, he was doing outfit battles with this kid Blocks Head, who was Tyler, the Creator, and it's just Lupe Fiasco was on there posting. That's how I met Nick Diamond. That's how I met Mega from Black Scale. That's how I met a lot of people was through the forums. It was kind of a wild time.
Yeah, that's kind of early internet communities that helped spawn this era that we're having right now. Hearing you talk about everyone, I feel like everyone started in some sort of forum, whether that was music or Hypebeast or sneakers. It was there, right? What do you think inspired you from that? Obviously, Outfitgrid is community based. Even for me, SoleSavy is community based. I grew up living on the internet and talking to people who understand and appreciate the things I love. But what did you take away from kind of those days?
It's community. It's the same that's happening now. It's just a different medium. Community is really the thing that keeps inspiring me. And especially in the early days of the forums, it was really expanding your view into the world and kind of your visibility of like how creative people are, what people are doing in LA, what people are doing in Chicago, it wasn't just, okay, this is what's happening within your 5-mile radius of Boston.
Right.
It was kind of this, not just in the US, but this global view of, okay, there's all these things happening, and you start learning about what's happening on Fairfax or what's happening in Soho. And like, you start making these trips and you connect with other people. And the community really just opened my eyes to so many different things that were happening. And I think the same thing is true about social media today with like Instagram and Twitter. That's how people are connecting. It's just, honestly, it's a way better format than the forums, because the forums were kind of a mess to navigate. And like, it was more, you had to be a little more tech savvy. I think like you had to know a little bit of HTML to like write files, it was a different time for sure.
Yeah, but I think there's something really just like organic and raw about that I always appreciate, and appreciated coming from that. Like when I go to social media, I'm very like, I just take action. I just do, because it's what I'm used to. Whereas, some people, and it's totally cool, take a very curated and thoughtful approach to what they say or what they post. I love that raw aspect of community and talking to people, because it's as authentic as it can be on the internet.
Totally. And it was different then too, because no one was really trying to like go for clout, because there really wasn't any. You know, like when you
There's
were
no way
on
to do
the
it.
forums, you didn't have followers, you didn't have like counts, you didn't have anything like that. I mean, there was, of course, there was like clout within the community, but it was just positioned slightly different. It was like, oh, you won a fit battle on a forum, or, you know, oh, you posted this pair of shoes before everyone else, but it wasn't as quantifiable as it is today. So it feels a little bit different. I think, you know, not to sound like the old guy, but it came from a place that was a little bit more pure intentioned, I think, as opposed to today, where it's very lucrative to be popular on the internet. But back then, that didn't exist, and it's an amazing pathway. And like, shout out to everyone that's profiting off that. I mean, we all do, right? Like, I think a lot of people listening are savvy benefactors of that. Not to use SoleSavy in vain, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's just how it exists today. So it was just a different time. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned no followers, no likes. I think that's what I've appreciated in our SoleSavy communities is no matter who you are, what you do, how much money you make, how big your collection is, you're part of the community and you're just another one of us, right? There's nothing to kind of distract you and take away from like, oh shit, this guy's a celebrity, right? We have Eric Pascal in one of the communities lurking and occasionally posting, right? We have different people in there, but it all feels like there's an equal layer of accountability and authenticity that sometimes, you know, can get lost on the internet, but it's always good to see when people can just be themselves and enjoy the thing that they're passionate about. So what happens for you next? Like how does your career evolve? Because, and I guess to give people a little bit of picture, give people a picture of where you're at right now. What is your title and job? Because I think it's the fucking coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I oversee all the streetwear and sneaker partnerships at Instagram. So that means I work with all of, you know, your favorite brands, designers, retailers. I try to help them tell their stories on Instagram and grow their businesses. So we're really focused on Instagram. Shopping is a big priority now. So really focused on building that out, bringing new brands into the mix, getting more exclusive drops happening on Instagram. There's going to be a lot of exciting things that happen over the next year that I think people are going to be really thrilled about. And yeah, man, just kind of putting out fires along the way, helping, you know, make the product better, whatever I can do to help out. So yeah, I definitely have a unique title right now, and, you know, kind of like an army of one in my department, just kind of my own squad, but hopefully that'll be changing. Hopefully we'll be building the team more and making it even bigger and better. So it's exciting time.
Yeah, that's the definition of getting shit done on your own as a business unit. But I bring this up because, man, tell yourself 10 years ago that you'd be doing that. I think you'd probably pinch yourself a little bit, but
yeah. I mean, I don't think I even knew about Instagram in 2011. So maybe I just heard rumblings of it, but I signed up and maybe
it was like I feel like I signed up like late October 2011, maybe 2012. I can't remember.
It was right at the beginning, and it was a totally different app then. You know, it was just very lo-fi photos with Valencia filters and shoot native in the app. It was a different time for sure. It was cool though. It was, again, like the community was different. You know, I think things evolve and it's beautiful where they've gone, and people's creativity has been able to expound, you know, multiples of what it was. There's more tools, there's more services, there's video is a big priority. You know, it's cool. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you seen sneakers and streetwear kind of evolve over the last decade, the last 5 years? Like where have you seen the biggest shift personally?
Yeah, it's been interesting. There's been a lot of changes happening along the way. I mean, there's definitely at a trend level, a lot of different waves happening. You see, obviously, we're probably past that peak of the dunk hype. I think I like to think we're slightly behind it now, but it's still going very strong. We're at like probably that peak that's like maybe a little bit below the apex, but it's still very, very strong hill or mountain or whatever you want to call that massive elevation that is the dunk right now.
And
It's been insane. I mean, you see GR dunks just going for $200-$300 that used to, those used to sit at Foot Locker and they would be in the mall for $75-$80. That's a different time, but yeah, definitely that's been trending. Obviously, it's been interesting to see how COVID has affected fashion and footwear. In particular, you see a lot of slip-on sneakers and shoes and silhouettes like Crocs, for example, which I never thought would be cool and honestly have become very popular. Birkenstocks, the Boston silhouette in particular, I really gravitate towards, because it's the hometown and also it's just a good slip-on shoe. And then, like loafers and different dressed up shoes are kind of popping off right now as well. So it's been interesting to see how COVID has kind of impacted fashion. And I think we're kind of in the middle of like a renaissance where people are going to be like, okay, cool, I've been wearing the same sweatsuit for, 12 months. Yeah. It's time to get dressed up again, put on something that makes me feel really good and step outside. And I think that's kind of where we're headed. So we're going to see I think we're going to see like a lot of bright colors, a lot more dressed up silhouettes as it pertains to clothing. I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're at like the start of like another big revolution in fashion.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I feel like what people are thirsting for the most right now, and you mentioned dunks. Let's on that. I think Nike's played that really well. I don't think they execute that blueprint to how to bring the dunk back and make it exciting and ride it for a year. I, in January, said by the end of the year, it'll probably die down drastically because I saw the inventory projections and what they were planning from a pipeline. COVID did not help with that at all. Now I'm expecting that to happen next year. But again, like 5-6 years ago, you look at Nike and Jordan, they were kind of struggling to maintain the interest of really any silhouette. And now they can just like that, do it to, a waffle, a 97, a 90, et cetera, et cetera. They're so good at about marketing and selling to us. They've never been better at it.
Yeah. Nike has the formula down. I mean, as someone who is at the swoosh, I can tell you it's very intentional. It's very strategic, and it's really good. And I'm bought into it as a consumer. I mean, I get super excited when I see, Virgil working on a Jordan 2 like that, now that silhouette is going to be popping off all next year or the following year. And it's something that's been kind of slept on for, since when was the last release of a Jordan 2? It's been a while, at least that's been years. Yeah. I remember getting a retro pair in college. So that was like 2009 probably, or 2008. So it's cool. I mean, but again, Nike's smart about this. And I think there are certain silhouettes that are going to be cool to like, like a dunk is good forever. It's going to go through these little waves of like, yeah, it's really cool right now and it's trendy and like you get more likes if you wear a dunk in your Fitbit. But like, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if the resale still dies down, you're not going to be uncool wearing a pair of dunks. Like dunks are always good. Like Jordans are always good. Horses are always good. Yeah.
And people should always be buying because they love it and want to see it in their collection a decade from now, not because they're trying to ride a wave, because that gets stale quickly. Things change and pivot a lot. But yeah, what I was going to say is kind of like from an individuality perspective, I think people are really looking for, the next wave for them to express themselves and showcase, this is my personality, this is who I am, without, wearing that Travis Scott or that dunk. And I'm curious to see where that goes from individual creators, designers, whoever it might be. I think that's why we're kind of seeing like these, I'm not going to say knockoff, but inspired Jordan 1s with different things, because people are like, it's familiar, but it's like saying something different about me. I don't know what it says depending on what you're buying, but I think that's what people want. I think that's what kind of like the next 8 years of, or maybe not 8, maybe 3 years of fashion and sneakers might just be like, how can you express yourself without having to lay down $3,000 for a Travis Scott sneaker, right? Because I think that's kind of where we got to in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I saw a Instagram reel of a kid customizing a pair of Air Force Ones in the same colorway as the Fragment Travis Scott ones, and they came out sick. And I was like, those are super dope. And usually I'm kind of like, but they came out so clean. And I think there's something there around like, I think there's a big unlock with like what was known as Nike ID with Nike by You. And I think other companies are going to lean more heavily into that. And I think that's where I agree with you. I think that's where we're kind of headed. Is I like the idea of more unique colorways, unique customization, like wear what you like, not what, someone else has to dictate to you is cool. And I think there's a ton of potential there. I still call it ID. I love ID. I always play around on that. It's the best.
Anytime Nike does an ID project, like, they have their general, I'll say inline ID, but when they do the special projects, man, I'm all over it, because I'm like, if I want something unique and special to me, I'm going to design it. I can't remember the name, but there's an Air Force One high with like a tiger for a swoosh. And it was just cool to make that decision and have it show up. And to this day, I've never seen anyone with another pair, right? Like that to me is amazing. Even this, I think it's Lorenzo OG. I saw Joe LaPuma. He had a pair of, exactly. He had a pair, was it, what was it? 98s for him. And then I saw the Stussy sneaker he was doing. And I looked at it, I was like, damn, this is expensive. But when I thought about the amount of work that goes into this and the uniqueness of it, I laid down for it, because I'm like, that's going to be special to me. I'm always going to hold that to myself. Right. So,
Did you get it yet?
No, I'm waiting. I'm very excited.
No, his dye work is insane. And I really like the shoes that he's been picking, like the Comme des Garçons Air Force Ones. Looks so sick dyed, and the Stussy's look incredible dyed. Like it's shoes that are already cool, and like to people, they're kind of like if type shoes, and then he takes it to another level with the dyeing. Yeah, I love that. Those were super slept on, the Comme des Garçons Forces, and I feel like to an extent even the Stussy ones, and those were amazing. And I feel like kids, I mean, they did have a secondary market value, but like it wasn't like exponentially.
No, I know. And that's like twofold there. We're getting older when we're saying kids. I hate that I now refer to the younger generation as kids. But on the flip side of it, it kind of sucks that we look at sneaker prices and go, oh, 350, 400. That's not crazy. It's almost like it's become acceptable to a degree. And we look at $1,000 and go, oh shit.
Which is insane, because I can go back to like, those Yeezy ones that you have on your shelf. Like it was unheard of to spend $500 when those came out on a pair of shoes. And I remember doing that. I went on eBay and I got the black pair and I spent $500, and I was like, this is insane that I'm doing this. This is the most I've ever spent on a pair of shoes. And, you look back now and it's like, wow, that's incredible. I wish I bought 50 of them. It's
literally,
it's just gotten so ridiculous, and I don't know if it's a combination of inflation and, the dollar being worth less, but I think we've just come to accept absurd prices on the secondary market.
You could literally say that about every sneaker that's released in the last 5 years, because at the time it was like, this is crazy. Union Jordan 1s for $500. That's insane. That's so much money. Right. And now the people who bought it then for $500 are like, wow, I should have doubled up. Right. Like it's ever shifting and it's crazy, but that's a wormhole.
Beat them to shreds and still sell them for more than $500, which is, it's just mind blowing, right?
You could wear them to Coachella for a weekend and destroy them, and some would still give you $500.
Not even clean them, just sell them with the mud, with the Coachella mud. Maybe you'll get a extra value for that.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, this is a wormhole that we could go down for probably too long. So I'm going to pivot the conversation back to Outfitgrid, because I just pulled up your LinkedIn real quick because I needed a refresher of where you've been and what you've done. And you've been everywhere. Karmaloop, Diamond Supply, Nike, Twitter, and then Instagram. There's a bunch of things in between. But my point is, you've seen a lot and done a lot. How is that how did that inspire you to start Outfitgrid from the forums to everywhere you've worked, and your just personal interest, and why do something like that?
Yeah, Outfitgrid started back in 2012. I was working at Diamond at the time, and it was, it was during a time when Instagram was relatively new, on the come up. It was this, everyone was on there constantly, trying to figure out like what kind of content to post, how does this work, how do I take cool photos, and one of the things that I started doing was just literally laying my outfit down and taking a photo of it. And I did it maybe 2 or 3 times before it kind of caught on. And I was like, I'm seeing other people post what is now known as an Outfitgrid. And they were basically like mentioning me in their caption, because you couldn't tag people yet. It was still early days of Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I got to come up with a name for this thing. Like, let's build a hashtag around this. Let's build a community. So came up with the name Outfitgrid. I was like, cool. Does anyone have a trademark? Nope. All right, let me do that. Let me trademark
Kudos.
the website. Yeah, IP is everything, man. And
kudos to you.
Started the handle. Thank you. And really from the beginning, I posted a bunch of mine just to get like the cadence down, so people knew like, okay, this is what this handle is about. And then literally the next day, started featuring some of my friends who had posted and made it this competition. And since then, in 2012, every single day since, I have posted a winner on Outfitgrid and gone through all the submissions from the day. And it's crazy. It'll be 10 years next year, which is kind of insane to think about.
And there's honestly, when you look at internet age, not a lot of shit makes it through 10 years. I look at kick steals and I'm like, nice, we're coming up on 10 years, and it feels like it went very quickly, but the internet moves. So kudos to you. Cause now I just saw you're in the Wall Street Journal. There's literally an article about Outfitgrid in the Wall Street Journal. The internet is an amazing place. I love it.
It really is. It really is. Just a simple hashtag, man. That's all it is. And definitely an amazing cosign and recognition. Super grateful that the journal picked it up. That was incredible that, getting that message, hey, we want to feature. I was like, wow, this is insane. Now my parents will finally understand what I've been doing, putting clothes down on the floor all these years.
They will finally approve of the mess you make when you visit.
It took 10 years in a Wall Street Journal article, but I finally got my parents' approval. So
3,279 posts. Mom and dad have given
That's
you
how
the
many
cosign.
days. That's basically how many days. I mean, there's a couple, there's some slight variation, but it's been over 3,500 days, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The thing for me that I love about it, and what inspires me at SoleSavy is the idea of community and a common interest, something people can bond over. And obviously for us, it's just loving sneakers and wanting to wear them. But for you, it's for the Outfitgrid community, it's a sense of fashion, belonging, your whole fit. And people need that in our lives, because I find too much these days, there's a lot of shit going on to try to tear things down and not let you enjoy the things you want on the internet. So just to see just a fun account where you can go in there and just enjoy people's fits. And, in Tony Mui's voice, you could talk to me nice. You can say something. But it's just great to see people coming together over something like their outfit. And it's very simple, but it means a lot to different people.
Yeah. I think that positivity is key. I mean, I know that's kind of the crux of SoleSavy, right? Like, it's all about the community. It's all about keeping it positive. There is a lot of hate on the internet, and a lot of people who are trying to take people down or critique things in a negative light. I mean, I'm always down for the criticism. Like, if someone's like, oh man, I can't believe you posted Eric Emanuel shorts again today. Like, that's fine. I don't care about that. But if you're like, oh, I hate this person because he's from X country or whatever, like, then we have a problem, like, that's a different conversation. But it's cool, man. I'm just trying to create a space like you are, where people can connect over a shared love of fashion, sneakers, and just express their ideas and hopefully learn some things, maybe level up their own style. I've personally discovered a ton of brands. I've made a ton of relationships with different brands strictly through Outfitgrid, different creators. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the community.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's your sneaker collection like now? Are you in the hundreds? Are you a curator? Are you selective? Are you
Yeah.
like I'm all over the map. I keep telling myself to slow down, but I bought 2 dunks and a Sakai waffle in the last 24 hours.
Same, DP. I'm bad because I'll still buy things. So like something comes out and I'm like, oh, this is fire. I really need, like even if I have no plans of like wearing it this month, or I'm just like, oh, those are so sick. Or
Yeah.
like my ID comment earlier, like I was like, they had some options. I was just playing around and I'm like, oh, I can kind of make like the Kanye Bapestas out of this. I was like, let me just, whatever. Let me just try it. Let's see how they come out. I'm waiting for them to come in. But like, do I need another pair of sneakers? No. Do I have room for another pair? No. But am I still buying? Yeah, absolutely. And then am I still getting things, gifted to me every once in a while? Sure. So it's definitely like, it's constant. I battle with my closet a little bit on kind of like storing shoes and where I can fit them. I tend to give away a lot of stuff to like my little brother, who's also my shoe size, or I have some friends that I hook up with pairs. So yeah, I try to keep it, but I'm probably in the hundreds. I mean, I'm probably at like 200 pairs here, which is a lot. Yeah.
You're curating well. I'm at 5, and
okay.
I had to move. I had to move into a house with a spare bedroom so I could put all my sneakers in it.
I love that.
My wife's rule. Yeah. I mean, my wife's rule was literally, don't think about another sneaker leaving this room. If it can't fit in the room, don't buy it. And then she walks in, she's like, there's shit on the floor. I said, you got to keep it on racks. And I'm like, you just said in the room. Doesn't matter how messy it is in here.
Right. You define it in the room. Yeah.
I got to cut some shit. I'm in trouble. Especially with a baby in the house. Hopefully he grows into 11. I would be very happy for my wallet over the next, if he grows into 11.
Incredible. Imagine how cool that is though. Imagine becoming old enough to fit your dad's sneaker size, and he has an insane collection that he passed down to you. Like imagine, I mean, that would be like for me turning like however old I was when I reached my peak size 10 foot. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 18 or something. Imagine turning 18 and you just have, hey, here's 50 1985 Jordan 1s, or like, are you kidding? That would be the coolest thing ever. So I can only imagine how incredible that would be for like the next generation if we can actually pass down our shoe collection, and they even care. I mean, that's the other thing. Like,
I know he might grow up and be like, look, man, I had to deal with your sneaker bullshit my whole life. I don't like sneakers.
I'm not even into shoes. Yeah, I'm into teleporting, Dad. Like, we don't even do that anymore.
Look, we don't really wear shoes. You didn't come to my softball game because you're too busy trying to cop sneakers on Saturday morning. I don't like sneakers. I hope he doesn't spite me as he gets older. My wife's gonna listen to this and whip me into shape. But you were working on something pretty interesting. I actually haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but mostly Canada and HBO is difficult for me. But tell us a little bit about the new show you've been a part of. What is it? What's it about? And what's your role in it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's this new show HBO put together called The Hype, and it's a streetwear competition show. So it started with like 8 or 9 contestants, and basically they're issued challenges every day to create a piece or a look based around, whatever is thrown at them that day. One day they had to do like DC superhero inspired outfits. Another time they had to do Offset, who's one of the judges, like a hoodie that he would love to wear, things like that. So it's super cool. It's hosted by Speedy, who you guys may know from Complex. Speedy's incredible. The judges are Marnie, who is an incredible designer. Stylist. And then Beffy from Union, who's amazing, owner of Union, and then Offset's the other judge. And yeah, my role is I'm in the finale, which is coming up Thursday or Wednesday at midnight Pacific time. And I kind of, I don't want to give too much away. And honestly, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't even know what the editor's left in. But I basically pop in and give some advice to the 2 finalists on how they can bring their collections to life on Instagram.
Yeah, it's cool to just see the evolution of, or the impact that fashion and sneakers and streetwear is now having, right? There's a show on HBO, right? There's YouTube series with millions of views. We have Amex commissioning sneaker projects and doing talks. I think it's a great, it feels like people might think, oh, it's too late to, get their foot in the door. But I think right now is a great time to establish, like, what's your voice? What's your brand? What are you building? And stick to that, because I think just more and more people are going to care and get interested in it as the years go by. And it's a great time to keep doing it.
Absolutely. People always need clothes. So it's a great business to be in. I think if you have something unique to say and you're not, necessarily chasing trends, and you're just really bringing something to the market that you care about, I feel like that cuts through, and that's powerful. And there's been a lot of brands who have been successful kind of off of that formula in the past few years.
To me, that all starts with community and, caring about your people, caring about your customers, and keeping them at the forefront. Yeah, keeping them at the forefront of what you're doing, what you're building. And, I think the internet gets a bad rap, justifiably, for being toxic. Sure. But I think there's a lot of great people and a lot of great things happening. You just have to know where to look.
Absolutely. And you have all the tools now to, you could have a t-shirt brand in your garage in, Iowa, and you could be the biggest brand in LA, or the cool, and it's like, we're in this age of the internet where you can take people on your journey, and you can connect with consumers literally across the globe. And that's something that's really, we're in a very unique point of time in human history where that's really never been possible before. Like, the ability to scale ideas is easier and quicker now than it's ever been in humankind. So it's really cool. Like, if you have a great idea, put it out there. Like, I think people are scared of failure sometimes, or rejection. And, you gotta just go for it and put it out there. And if it doesn't work out, you move on to the next idea, or you keep pushing until it does work. And, you just got to go for it.
Absolutely. And it's like, failure right now will probably cost you the least than it ever has before, right? Like, to start a brand, you're a $30 Shopify subscription away from having a global store, right? With a UPS account. Incredible. Yeah, it's crazy. So I think that's the takeaway.
It's more to sell to less people in a city.
Yeah, literally, it's more work. I think that's the takeaway for anyone listening. If you have an idea, just do it. Get shit done, and put some work in, and hone in on your craft. It might take 6 months, it might take a year, it might take 5 years, but you'll probably learn things along the way and, improve.
Everybody starts somewhere. I mean, even I remember going to, I think, like, one of the last times I was at a trade show in Vegas, and it was Capsule, I believe, and they had, or it was Agenda actually. And there was a section in the back called Campgrounds, and it was like upcoming brands. And there was a rack, and there was like a hoodie with a zipper, and it was a Fear of God hoodie. And there was like a t-shirt, a bandana print, and it was a Luigi t-shirt. And I'm like, these guys, like Jerry and Luigi, they were starting like very early, and like, but they were putting their ideas out. And now look at how successful those brands have become now. Fear of God and Rude are, leading the pack. So I think it's important. Like, you're not necessarily going to start at like this insane level and be super famous. And I think people don't see all the work, like that meme of like the iceberg where it's like the work before it, and then people see, like, that's super true. Like, you just gotta go out there and just make it happen.
Yeah, especially in the social media age where it just looks like success is the only thing you can be doing.
And people want that almost more than they want to be successful.
You got to put in the work. Like, it's that image. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And it's like companies just look like this, right? It's just a straight arrow up, but really it's this just crazy roller coaster of squiggles up and down. And at some point you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've done what I've wanted to achieve, but you got to have that vision. You got to really stick to it for as long as you possibly can, because, you know, sometimes ideas are early. Sometimes they take a little time to come to fruition, but if you believe in it and you love it, dedicate your time to it, because there's nothing that's going to be more enjoyable than doing something that you love.
Completely agreed.
Yeah. Ooh. Hopefully we inspired the younger generation, some kids.
I hope so. I want to see that.
Yeah, I do.
Everyone starts a brand and after this podcast and become super successful, we should get like a little royalty or something. I'm just
send me
just the DM. No, just like a note. Yo,
yeah, just the DM.
Thanks,
yeah, a coupon code for a free shirt. I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Invite me to your yacht once. That's all.
Okay, we're going full Khaled now, aren't we? Yeah, I hope. I'm very excited to see what sneakers, streetwear, fashion looks like. The internet, social media community looks like by the time we're 40. And shit, maybe we'll hop on a podcast in 7 years and talk through this last seven years together. Yeah, Dennis, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for taking the time to chat. It's good to connect and good to see you again.
So great connecting with you, DP. I love this conversation. Thanks for having me.